The existence of unidentified flying objects has remained one of the most discussed topics for many years. Some are certain that these are merely errors of perception or rare natural phenomena, while others are certain that humanity has encountered something truly unknown more than once. And if earlier such stories seemed like science fiction, today the situation is changing. Today we will show you cases of unidentified flying objects recorded all over the world. Before starting, I will ask you to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Enjoy the viewing. One of the most alarming cases occurred on the territory of an industrial facility. A glowing orange sphere slowly approached the building and without any obstacle penetrated inside. The people who were nearby left the premises in a panic. The strangest thing is the external appearance of the object. Its contours were blurred, as if it was distorting the space around itself. Some suppose that this might be connected to a strong magnetic field that affects vision and equipment. But the thought that such an object is capable of simply penetrating into a building causes genuine fear. An ordinary night trip turned into something alarming when a person noticed a strange cloud. It looked huge, but its lower part was glowing from the inside. The feeling was created that the source of light was located inside the cloud and not outside. And here a theory appeared. And what if unidentified flying objects camouflage themselves as clouds, hiding right above our heads, remaining unnoticeable? Some consider this proof of camouflage technologies, others merely an optical illusion. But the question remains open. Is everything that we see in the sky really what it seems to be? Few places on the planet are shrouded in such a quantity of mysteries as the pyramids of Giza. But one recent video added even more questions to these riddles. Bright glowing objects appeared above the ancient structures. They moved as if they had just risen straight from the surface of the pyramids. No sound at all, only light. Their glow seemed intentionally muffled, as if they were hiding their true form. For some time, the objects hovered in the air, after which they dispersed in different directions and disappeared into the night. For many, this became a strange intersection of two great mysteries: ancient structures and modern sightings of unidentified flying objects. And the more you look at these frames, the more difficult it is to get rid of the feeling that there is a connection between them. Reports about unidentified flying objects in the shape of spheres or disks appear regularly, but one of the latest cases stood out especially. An object in the shape of a saucer from which smoke was coming was recorded on video. It looked as if the apparatus was experiencing technical problems. The situation became even more alarming when the object caught fire. A version appeared that it crashed somewhere in a wooded area nearby. And immediately another theory arose. Allegedly, government structures quickly discovered the crash site, seized the wreckage, and hid all the information from the public. Whether this is true or not, the very fact of such a video made many think. And what if such cases happen much more often than we think? If the topic of abductions by extraterrestrials seems too fantastic to someone, this case forces one to reconsider their views. A video appeared on the network on which a classic disc-shaped object hovering in the sky is captured. The camera zooms in on the image, and under it, the figure of a person becomes noticeable. He is standing right under the object. In the next second, a bright light flashes, and the person disappears. Simply disappears, as if he never existed. After this, the unidentified flying object sharply rushes upwards and vanishes from sight. This moment raises a multitude of questions. Who was this person? Was this a case of abduction? Or perhaps everything looked different and we are seeing only a part of what is happening? There are no answers, but the recording itself looks too realistic to simply brush it off. A video from Dallas became a real sensation on the internet. Glowing spheres appeared in the sky, lined up in a clear formation, as if they were acting according to a planned-out scheme in advance. People filmed what was happening on their telephones, not hiding their shock. Some even called the police, not understanding what exactly they were observing. The objects hung in the sky, as if posing, and then began to disappear one after another, as if dissolving in the air. Some supposed that these could be drones, but their movement looked too precise and meaningful to be ordinary equipment. This created a feeling as if the objects appeared with a specific goal, fulfilled it, and simply disappeared. And the most alarming thing is, we were not supposed to see this at all. In Norway, a spectacle occurred that amazed even the most experienced observers. A bright glowing sphere hovered over the water, and opposite it, a shining circle appeared in the sky. They moved synchronously, as if they were connected to each other. The ring pulsated, changed shape, and shimmered with shades from deep blue to bright purple. People observed this in complete amazement. Some believed that they became witnesses to the opening of a portal. Others supposed a rare magnetic phenomenon. But regardless of the version, what was happening looked so unreal that it left behind only one question: what exactly did we see in reality? A few days ago, something appeared in the sky that frightened eyewitnesses to the depths of their souls. A bright light flashed so strongly that it seemed almost unreal. From this light, a powerful beam, flickering and pulsating, was directed downwards. People began to panic, supposing that this could be an attempted abduction or something even more dangerous. Others connected what was happening with mysterious crop circles, supposing that such beams could be a tool for their creation. But the truth is that no one was ever able to explain what exactly happened. And this exactly is what makes the situation even more alarming. Recently, an object was noticed in the night sky that literally forced the entire internet to explode from discussions. At first, it seemed that this was simply a group of glowing spheres lined up in a neat formation. But upon closer examination, it became clear these are not separate lights. All of them were part of one huge object, a single structure slowly rotating in the sky. The scale of this phenomenon staggered the imagination. Theories poured in one after another. Some assured that this is an extraterrestrial ship of a completely new type. Others spoke about secret developments connected with anti-gravity, but not a single version could completely explain what was seen. The video quickly flew across the network, causing a wave of discussions, arguments, and alarm. Because if this is indeed a technology, it clearly is ahead of everything that is known to us. In Australia, a video was filmed that instantly became viral. On the recording, it is visible how a powerful beam of light pierces the sky and is directed straight into a mountain range. The picture looks almost unreal. The light flickers, and with each of its impulses, the sky around is painted in orange shades. The internet was immediately filled with theories. Someone is certain this is an abduction. Others speak about some intergalactic war, and skeptics try to explain everything as a rare atmospheric phenomenon. But whatever this was, it looks genuinely creepy, and the main thing, completely incomprehensible. One of the most alarming stories came from the Sverdlovsk region in the Soviet Union. According to reports, it was exactly there that the military discovered a crashed, unidentified apparatus. This story later turned out to be connected with the so-called secret files of the Committee for State Security, documents that leaked in the 90s. In them, it was said that Soviet specialists tried to study and even reproduce technologies not having an earthly origin. Some local residents claimed that they saw the wreckage before the territory was completely cordoned off. Others, in a whisper, told about people who, after these events, disappeared without a trace or were forced to stay silent. If this is indeed the truth, it means the Cold War was not only a struggle for nuclear superiority. Perhaps, somewhere in the shadows, a much more dangerous race was going on, for control over technologies that came from beyond the limits of our planet. Sometimes sightings go beyond the limits of isolated cases and become truly massive. On the 20th of April, 2025, in the city of Murray, the state of Kentucky, local residents noticed immediately several large objects hovering unusually low above the ground. This no longer looked like an accident. The objects seemingly stopped in the air, violating all customary laws of motion, and then began to emit flashes resembling artificial lightning. Some decided that this was an attempt to influence the energy system of the city. Others could not understand at all what was happening. But the strangest thing is the absence of any official information. No news, no explanations. And exactly this forced many to believe that the incident was simply hidden, and the truth remained only in the stories of eyewitnesses. If one imagines that extraterrestrials are indeed hiding on the Earth, the mountains would be the ideal place for this. Remote, difficult to access, practically isolated from civilization. No one would even guess about their presence. But one accidental filming changed everything. A tourist, being in the mountains, noticed a strange object hovering in the air. Bright beams emanated from it, directed downwards, as if it was scanning the surface. At some moment, the light sharply disappeared, and the object began to smoothly descend, as if it was preparing to land. The video looks raw, without obvious traces of editing, and exactly this makes it particularly convincing. Skeptics found themselves in a difficult situation. Explaining what is happening turned out to be not so simple. In the year 2020, on the Highway Route 21 in New Jersey, something happened that forced people to stop right in the middle of the road. But this was not an accident and not a traffic jam. Above the highway, a glowing object hovered, illuminating everything around and remaining motionless. Drivers exited from their cars, not believing their eyes. Someone joked about extraterrestrials, but the majority understood. Something unusual is happening in front of them. The strange shape of the object and its behavior convinced many that this was a real, unidentified flying object. The cars stood right on the road, creating chaos, but no one was in a hurry to leave. The people simply looked upwards. Some believed that this was observation, perhaps a hidden study of people. Others supposed something even more unusual, as if the object came from another reality in order to briefly appear in our world. The night ended, but for those who saw this, the customary perception of reality had already changed forever. In Chile, a case occurred that even by the standards of similar stories looks genuinely insane. In the sky above an ordinary house, a classic flying disc suddenly appeared, wide, perfectly outlined as if descended from the pages of science fiction. But then began that which knocked the ground out from under the feet, even of skeptics. Right in front of the object, something similar to a glowing tear in space emerged, a bright opening resembling a portal. This looked as if reality itself parted for a moment, opening a passage into the unknown, and the unidentified flying object, not slowing its movement, headed straight inside this shining ring. After a second, everything disappeared, both the object itself and the strange portal, as if they had never existed. The witnesses could not believe in what they had just seen. After all, if this is true, it means the discussion is not simply about flights, but about technologies allowing movement between dimensions right above our houses. In Italy, one resident filmed on video an event that caused a mass of arguments. Next to a military helicopter, two glowing spheres hovered in the air. They held at the same level as if they were accompanying the equipment and not avoiding it. The situation looked as if the helicopter is not pursuing the objects, but observing them. But then something even more strange happened. One of the spheres suddenly divided into two. As a result, there were already three glowing objects in the sky, moving synchronously. This only intensified the mysteriousness of what was happening. Some consider that these could be secret tests. Others are certain the helicopter was accompanying these objects, and not the other way around. And if this is so, the question arises, who is observing whom in reality? After such cases, the thought arises more and more often. And what if the mountains are indeed hiding something more? A new recording, filmed high in the mountains, only intensified these suspicions. On the video, a glowing sphere is visible, which emits beams in all directions, like a searchlight from science fiction. This looks almost like a search system or targeting. Dozens of versions immediately appeared on the internet, from the abduction of tourists to the tests of an unknown weapon. The video quickly became viral and experts tried to give an explanation, but up to this time, not a single official version has appeared. And exactly this forces one to think, perhaps we are observing something that for now we simply cannot understand. An ordinary night turned into something completely different when glowing spheres appeared above the district. But the strangest thing is, they did not move chaotically. They lined up in a perfect circle, as if submitting to a clear system. Some eyewitnesses are certain that this was one huge object divided into parts. Others consider that the spheres interacted among themselves, transmitting signals or energy. Whatever the truth might be, their movement looked too precise, too thought out, to be an accident. At one of the mountain resorts, a man noticed a strange phenomenon right from the window of his room. In the distance, a glowing object hovered, as if preparing for landing. But then something even stranger happened. Smaller glowing spheres began to fly out from it. After this, the object disappeared behind the trees, leaving only questions. Some are certain this is proof of extraterrestrial activity. Others consider that the discussion is about secret tests. But in any case, the main question remains: what exactly was flying above these mountains? In August, one resident of New Jersey noticed a strange object above his district. This was a single glowing sphere, which at first simply hovered in the air. But then a bright beam of light struck downwards, which began to move, as if scanning the territory. The camera barely withstood its brightness. The movements of the object were smooth and precise, as if it was acting according to a preset program. Skeptics tried to explain this as a helicopter, but many immediately rejected this version. Everything looked too precise, too controlled. For some, the feeling arose that this was not simply an object, but a sort of probe, observing what is happening. In August 2025, the city of Medellin in Colombia became the site of yet another mysterious sighting. Two metallic spheres appeared in the sky, the behavior of which immediately raised questions. They moved in such a way that ordinary aerial objects are not capable of moving. They accelerated, swapped places, and returned to one and the same point, as if acting according to a clear algorithm. Residents noted that similar sightings in this region are happening not for the first time. And exactly this makes the situation even stranger. Perhaps these objects are appearing here not by accident. A passenger of a commercial flight became a witness to that which no one expects to see after takeoff. Right under the airplane, three huge objects were moving, lined up in a perfect formation. They moved synchronously, with incredible precision, as if following a preset route. Each object was surrounded by a faint light blue glow, resembling a protective field or energy shell. Some suppose that exactly such technologies allow these objects to remain unnoticeable for radars. But the most alarming thing is their dimensions and how easily they kept pace next to the passenger airplane. If they are capable of such a thing, the question arises: what else are they capable of? One of the videos, having quickly scattered across the network, showed a classic flying saucer hovering low above the ground. It moved slowly, almost cautiously, as if it was studying the surrounding space. But the most frightening thing was not in the shape. Inside, one could notice barely distinguishable silhouettes. Some are certain these were figures observing what is happening from the inside. The frames looked as if they stepped off the pages of science fiction. But the movements of the object were too smooth and natural to simply write everything off to editing. And one alarming question remains: was this simply observation or preparation for something greater? In the state of Oklahoma, one of the residents noticed a glowing object hovering over his house. It was so bright that it immediately stood out against the background of the night sky. At first it moved smoothly, but then it sharply changed direction, as if it stumbled upon an invisible barrier. After this, A faint light circle appeared around it, and then the object swiftly disappeared in the distance. Such behavior is difficult to explain by ordinary equipment. This does not look like either rockets or drones. Everything looked as if the object was performing a specific task: scanning, testing, or interacting with something in the air. On the 2nd of September 2025 in the city of Downey, the state of Idaho, residents noticed a strange object in the sky. At first it resembled an ordinary cloud, but then its shape became too clear. The silhouette of a saucer was distinctly visible. Unlike real clouds, it did not move together with the wind. It simply hovered in place. The object radiated a faint glow, like a ring suspended in the sky. Witnesses from different regions, including Utah, claimed that they saw the very same thing on different days. Some wrote everything off to a play of light, others were certain. This is a camouflaged apparatus. And if this is true, then the main question arises: why was it hiding in plain sight of us? In August 2025, a resident of Canada filmed on video a strange orange object hovering above the street. It was slowly rotating, and its light was forming a clear V-shaped figure in the sky. Eyewitnesses said that the spectacle was mesmerizing and simultaneously frightening. The strangest thing is, the object did not move and did not disappear. It simply hovered, as if awaiting something. What this was, unknown technology or something else, remains a riddle. On the 11th of August 2025 in China, the sky suddenly changed. A strange white fog appeared, which was glowing like the remnant of some explosion. But instead of quickly dissipating, it remained in place, gradually expanding. Then 3 glowing spheres appeared inside it. They hovered for a short time and disappeared, leaving behind an empty sky. This looked too meaningful to be an accident, and exactly this causes the most questions. In New York occurred that which no one expected to see in broad daylight. A huge object hovered in the sky, almost motionless, as if biding its time. Then from out of nowhere, a glowing sphere appeared and rushed upwards, right inside this object. As soon as it disappeared inside, the object was set in motion. This moment forced many to believe. These spheres are not accidental. They perform tasks, collect information, and return back. And if this is so, it means the observation of us has been conducted for a long time already. Somewhere in the mountains, eyewitnesses noticed an unidentified flying object moving across the sky. But the main thing happened later. A huge smoky circle appeared in the air, perfectly even, as if specially created. The object, without hesitation, headed right into it and disappeared. And then the circle itself also disappeared. This looked not simply like a flight, but like a transition. If this is indeed a portal, it means these objects do not simply fly. They move between worlds. In the year 2021, a driver stopped, noticing a glowing ring in the sky. At first, this looked like an optical illusion, but then the situation changed. Objects began to approach the ring and disappeared inside it one by one. When the last object disappeared, the ring simply dissolved. Experts noted that this looked too precise and organized to be an accident. This more closely resembled a controlled process, perhaps even a demonstration of technologies. In New York, strange lights were noticed again. Several spheres hovered high above the city, remaining motionless. At first, they were mistaken for drones, but their movements quickly refuted this version. They did not move synchronously, did not follow a clear scheme. Their behavior looked meaningful, but unpredictable. This forced many to think, perhaps this was not simply an observation, but something more. One of the strangest videos showed an object completely not similar to classic unidentified flying objects. A rectangular glowing apparatus hovered above a house. It did not move, did not emit sounds, simply hung. And inside its glow, one could notice a silhouette. Many are certain this was not simply a device. This was something that was observing. And exactly this makes this case particularly alarming. In June 2025, a clip was filmed in Russia that quickly became viral. A glowing sphere with a bright blue core hovered in the sky. Suddenly, a thin but powerful beam burst out of it, directed downwards. It did not flicker, did not disappear. It looked purposeful. People began to put forward the most varied versions, from a signal to an act of abduction. But no one was able to precisely explain what this was. Surveillance cameras in the year 2024 recorded two strange lights in the sky. They did not move in a straight line, but chaotically, in zigzags, as if playing with each other. One of them did something incredible, as if it reflected off the ground and rose upwards again. This behavior does not correspond to any single known flying apparatus. Some experts consider that these could be probes investigating the surface of the Earth. A video appeared on the network that forced many to ask one and the same question. And what if the government indeed captured an unidentified flying object? On the recording, a huge object is visible, similar to a saucer, secured on the platform of a truck and covered with a tarpaulin. Around it, an armed escort. For some, this became proof. For others, merely a staged scene. But the truth thus remained hidden. And now the main question: is all of this simply a chain of strange coincidences, errors of perception, and rare phenomena? Or are we indeed observing something that for now we cannot explain? The more such recordings appear, the more difficult it is to brush them off and say that this means nothing. Perhaps we are seeing only a small part of what is happening in reality. And how do you think? Are these technologies about which they do not tell us, or something much more serious? Write your opinion in the comments, and if you watched to the end, write the word rocket.